All right. So I want to read something to you. It's kind of about the history of how I started Girl Scouts. My birthday is October 13th, 1860. And so I decided at some point, once I got married, I moved over to England and I met someone by the name of Lord Baden-Powell, and he's the founder of Boy Scouts. Well, everything that he was telling me about Boy Scouts was so interesting, I decided that I wanted to have my own organization for Girl Scouts. So unfortunately, my husband passed while we were in England, but then I decided to come back home to Savannah, Georgia, where I'm from, and start Girl Scouts there, okay? And so this story is going to tell a little bit more about my history and how Girl Scouts was started. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. To make yourself strong and healthy, it is necessary to begin with your inside. Daisy was a girl with gumption. Daisy grew up in Savannah, Georgia, at a time when proper young ladies were supposed to be dainty and delicate. It is possible for any girl to make herself into a strong and healthy woman if she takes the trouble to do a few body exercises every day. Do you guys see the little girl hanging from the tree? How many of you guys do that with the monkey bars? Raise your hand if you do that with the monkey bars. That's a form of exercise, right? Okay. But Daisy came from a family of pathfinders and pioneers. She wanted adventure and excitement. So on the previous page, they talked about how girls were kind of known to be dainty, but I wanted adventure and excitement. Fresh air is your great friend. Delicate, thought Daisy. Bosh, how boring. When Daisy grew up, she went traveling, ready for adventure. But on a visit home, she got an ear infection and lost almost all of her hearing. Daisy didn't let an obstacle stop her from seeing the world, though. Her mother worried, so Daisy wrote and reassured her. And so here's an example of a postcard where Daisy would write her progress of how her hearing would get better day to day. Okay. Daisy had adventure after adventure. When she wanted a new gate for her house, she took lessons from a blacksmith and forged it herself. Does anybody know what a blacksmith is? Alina?
It's somebody who can make stuff out of metal.
That's correct. And so she decided she wanted to fix her gate. She was going to do it herself, and she got lessons. All right? Talk about using your resources wisely, right? Every time you show your courage, it grows. Daisy also rode elephants in India, visited the Great Pyramid in Egypt, went fishing during fancy dinner parties, and even flew in a monoplane. That's a plane from way back, right? Can you guys see that? A delicious experience, she said. After many years, though, Daisy grew restless. Her family had settled towns and served in wars, written books, and built railroads. Daisy wanted more than just adventure. She wanted to be useful, to make a difference in the world. But what could she do? Then one day, Daisy discovered a group in England called the Boy Scouts. Yes? You can't hear? Oh, okay. We'll get someone to see about you in a minute, okay? All right, so Daisy discovered a group in England called the Boy Scouts. We just talked about that, right? It had begun as a way for boys to help serve their country. And the Boy Scouts spent lots of time outdoors, running and camping, swimming and fishing. There was even a sister group called the Girl Guides. Is that similar? That sounds like it could be something like Girl Scouts. The more Daisy learned, the more excited she grew. Why, the girls in America should have something like this, Daisy thought. Many of the greatest movements for the good of people and those which have influenced the world most have been the work of one person. What that means is one person had to have an idea to get started, right? It all starts with just one person. The work of today is the history of tomorrow, and we are its makers. That means somebody in this room is going to be history in the future, right? So whatever great ideas you have, hold on to them and put them in action, because one day you could be known as a historical figure. How cool is that?
That's cool.
Very cool, right? So Daisy couldn't wait to get started. She packed a Girl Guide handbook and took a steamer back home. Does anybody know what a steamer is? It's a steamboat. So traveling from America to England, you had to go on a boat back then. That was like the late 1800s. So she took a steamboat back home. When she arrived, she telephoned her cousin, Nina. "Come right over," she said. "I've got something for the girls of Savannah in all America, in all the world, and we're going to get it started tonight." On March 12th, 1912, Daisy began her biggest adventure yet. She invited 18 girls to the first Girl Scout meeting. She told them about all the adventures they would have. They'd hike and camp and swim. They'd do good deeds. They'd learn to tie knots and survive in the wilderness and even save lives. The girls thought Daisy's idea was brilliant. Daisy divided them into two groups. Then she taught them the 10 Girl Scout laws. A Girl Scout is honorable, loyal, useful, a friend to all, not just some, right? A friend to all, courteous, pure, kind to animals, obedient, cheerful, and thrifty. Does anybody know what thrifty means? No ideas?
Take a guess. Guesses are good too.
They can make something out of anything, okay? And that's needed to survive in the wilderness, right? So when you think about what Girl Scouts do now with camping, you have to learn how to survive out there with the smallest of resources, right? So from then on, Daisy devoted all her energy to the Girl Scouts. She designed uniforms for them to wear. She gave them her carriage house to meet in. She turned the vacant lot across the street from her house into a basketball court. She even gave the Girl Scouts a boat so they could take trips up and down the river. So remember, she started in Savannah. I think that's Savannah River, okay? Whatever you take up, do it with all your might. What does that mean? Whatever you take up, do it with all your might. Are you going to put forth 50% effort? Are you going to put forth 75% effort? What does that mean? Do it with all your might. Is that a hand? Go ahead, Alina.
To put like all your energy.
All of your energy, 110%, right? Do it with the best of excellence. So Daisy wanted the Girl Scouts to be open to lots of different girls. So she organized troops in private schools and in orphanages, in churches and in synagogues, in factories and in shops. Does anybody know what a synagogue is? It's a type of church, okay? All right. Of course, some people didn't approve of Daisy's new adventure. "Here come the Girl Scouts," they grumbled. Unthinkable. Preposterous. But nothing would stop Daisy. So what does that mean? Not everybody was with her, right? They didn't think it was a good idea. But Daisy marched on, okay? A Girl Scout is a friend to all and a sister to every other Girl Scout, no matter to what social class she may belong. Does anybody know what a social class is? Alina?
Like how social you are, like if you're shy or if you're out.
If you're shy, if you're outspoken. And back then, it had a lot to do with where you lived, how much money you made, the crowd that you hung with. But what Daisy believed is that no matter what group you belonged to or who you were, you could be a Girl Scout, and a Girl Scout was to be a friend to you. Okay, very good. Daisy and her friend, Professor Walter Hoxie, worked together to write a handbook for the Girl Scouts. The girls read the book and learned all sorts of interesting things, such as how to find the time by the stars or by the sun. Did you guys know that you can tell time by the sun?
Yes. No.
You absolutely can. All right. How to cure hams. That's kind of like how to make hams so they can be eaten. How to secure a burglar with 8 inches of cord. That's kind of cool, right? If a burglar breaks in your house, you can stop them and tie him up. It's protecting yourself. How to stop a runaway horse. How to brush your teeth if a crocodile takes your toothbrush. So in other words, do you know how to brush your teeth without an actual toothbrush? Do you know that you can do that? Probably not, but that's what this handbook shows you how to do. How to get the skin off of a sardine. Pretty interesting, huh? So that means it was all kinds of things in this handbook. The Girl Scouts worked on earning badges. You guys know a little bit something about that, right? You guys just came out of cookie season and earning cookie badges, yes? So you could become a dairy maid, a naturalist. A naturalist is kind of like someone who knows how to deal with the outside and nature. Horsemanship, a pioneer, a swimmer, interpreter, someone who's able to understand someone who may speak another language, right? Or may do sign language. You guys have heard of the American Sign Language for people who can't hear? Well, there is American Sign Language for people who cannot hear, who are deaf, okay? A cyclist, people who ride bikes, and flyers, who fly planes. You will not have any luck unless you try hard, okay? That means, again, you have to put forth effort in order to even try to get things done, okay? To get the full benefit of actual contact with nature, it is absolutely necessary to camp out where every breath of heaven can reach you and all wild things are within easy reach. So the Girl Scouts went camping. They took an oyster boat to an island near Savannah. They sang songs around the campfire. They feasted on fish and cornbread and turtle eggs. Have you guys ever had turtle eggs before?
No.
At night, they tiptoed out of their tents and slept under the stars. How cool would that be to just be in the middle of nowhere and look up and see nothing but stars? Do you guys like nature?
Yes.
Good, good. So maybe you guys can work on camping out while you're in Girl Scouts. In the United States of ours, we have cut down too many trees, so let us plant trees. Most of all, the Girl Scouts went on walks. They savored the green, so that's the greenery outside in nature. They soaked up the sunshine and they breathed the good, fresh air. All over Savannah, people saw the Girl Scouts swimming and singing, hiking and camping and playing basketball. Some of them just sniffed and shook their heads. Nature, fresh air, blah, said one dainty dame. In my day, young ladies know their place, grouched a grandmama. All that exercise can't be good for them, worried the neighbors. Other people saw them, though, and cheered. Here come the Girl Scouts. They hugged their daughters and smiled and said, "It's about time." So what does that mean? That means if you have a good idea, you're going to have some people who are for you and some people who are not for you. But that's okay. If it's your idea and it's your dream, you keep marching forward, okay? Daisy traveled all over giving speeches and raising money for the Girl Scouts. Many people who heard her started their own troops. Soon there were Girl Scouts across the country. The world looks to great organizations like the Girl Scouts to break down petty barriers of race and class. To get on in the world, to give anything and get anything out of it, each girl has got to do her part. So we've heard that a couple of times in this book, right? You have to do your part. But Daisy never forgot the Girl Scouts of Savannah. Whenever she wasn't traveling, she visited them and told them about her adventures. She shared stories of female doctors and scientists, architects, and airplane pilots. Is there anyone here that wants to be a doctor? Raise your hand if you want to be a doctor. What's your name?
What's your name?
Cassandra. Awesome, Cassandra. You want to be a doctor? I saw another hand. What's your name? Who?
Anaya.
Oh, Anaya. Okay. Well, she wasn't moving her mouth, so it must be somebody else back there. I can't see. But Dr. Cassandra and Dr. Anaya, did I miss anyone who wants to be a doctor? Okay. What about scientists? Does anybody in here want to be a scientist? Okay.
Ooh, wow.
Awesome. Scientists can also be doctors, right? Architects. Do you guys know what an architect is? Alina?
It's a person who plans out a design for a building or a house.
Absolutely. So every single building that you guys see in house, there was an architect who had to plan it out and to draw it. Very good, Alina. That's awesome. All right. So these were the stories that Daisy was sharing with the Girl Scouts about other women who became these things. And she read to them from the Girl Scout handbook. One of you may someday alter the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Daisy believed that girls could do anything.
Can girls do anything? Yes. Can girls do anything?
Yes!
And she was right. Girl Scouts have been making a difference ever since, just like Daisy. So here are pictures on here of some former Girl Scouts. You have Rebecca Lobo. Does anybody know who she is? She is a woman basketball player. If I'm not mistaken, I won't say the dream team. She played in the Olympics. All right, can you guys imagine playing in the Olympics one day? Do we have any basketball players in here? No? Okay, that's okay. Natalie Merchant, who's a musician. Gloria Steinem, who's an activist. She fought for certain things. Who's heard of Hillary Clinton? Who is Hillary Clinton? Say it. So she was the wife of one of our former presidents, Bill Clinton. She also ran for president. And she's held the office of a senator, so she's a politician. Okay, Lucille Ball, who's an actor. Lisa Ling, who's a journalist. Is there anybody on here who wants to be a journalist and write news or even be on the news as a news anchor? You know, when you watch the evening news and you have that person sitting in front of you and telling you about the news? All right, so Girl Scouts can do anything, okay? And that is the end.